always a professional thief and pickpocket. His area of magic is specialized in the sleight of hand used by conmen and thieves. And I'd like to say just a little bit more about Paul. He made national headlines a few years ago because he stole confidential documents as well as official ID badges from the Secret Service guarding ex-President Jimmy Carter. So we're very lucky to have him here tonight. He's very lucky to be alive.
I started magic, studying a lot of sleight of hand, what in magic we call close-up. I think this mic is a little bit hot. If you could bring it down just a little bit. Thank you very much, Lou. The specific area I found fascinating was after a magician called Slidini. In magic, he had a lot of principles that were around what we usually call misdirection. Misdirection is kind of a broad term and kind of a misnomer for the general public. We usually think, oh, one hand is focused while you try to not focus on the other. But if you look at the definition of misdirection, it's directing a person in one direction while you're doing something in another. That's not quite what we do most of the time. As you'll hear from the gentlemen as they're talking further, there's other principles that are more specific that really fall under the umbrella of what the public thinks is misdirection. I'd like to show you a couple of those, both in the area of frames and attention management. That's basically what we do. This is a little process. Now, because we're not going to use the camera on this one, I'm going to do one without the camera for the audience to see here. This is just a pen. But it is really based on misdirection. It's just actions. A cap and a pen. You put the cap on the pen, it goes behind the elbow, then the pen goes away. If you focus on the pen, it's behind the ear. If you put the cap back on the pen, you can see the cap goes away, because the cap is now inside the ear. They're all kind of relevant to natural actions, things that are happening one after the other. Now, the reasons why those works is similar to how a director or cinematographer would focus in frames, and where we're directing the attention. Also what you would do in striking if you're managing a play and you want somebody to focus while they're striking props on and off the stage. So if I want you to focus attention, I'll move the frame around. Now there's different techniques that we may use to do that. For myself, for pickpocketing, I use a lot of proxemics. I didn't understand what I was doing at first, and I had to study a lot of Edward T. Hall and some other techniques to, for myself, try to articulate what I was doing, because I was being accused of being psychic, which I was very skeptical against. So I wanted to learn a vocabulary that explained what I was doing, and I learned that a lot of it was human nature that I was taking advantage of. And later, I learned I wasn't the only one, but that a lot of con men and grifters did the same thing. So in the beginning, if you don't mind, I can have you do the camera. I'll show you something in a tight frame. Because really, what we're doing is focus. So there's two approaches you can use for focus. There's broad spectrum focus, which allows people to get their attention in a wide range of areas so they can make decisions. Then there's isolated focus. So I'll show you here in a narrow frame, if you can see now. Can you see me here? Is that hand? Thank you. All right. You can watch right here, just to see the coin. Now, you are even educated about passage from one hand to the other, so this is going to be very isolated for you to see. The rest of you can watch either my hands or you can watch the screen. But as you watch the coin go in, you see it just goes away. Same thing now. Come straight back. Now, this is in an isolated frame that's happening. So that's in a very specific moment. Now, for me to do that, if we have larger movements, I have to shift those frames around. I'd like to do that too. Thank you very much, Teller. I appreciate that. Thank you. So that was happening in a very tight frame. So I'm using minute convincers that will focus your attention. Like when you saw me going to grab the coin with my fingers, there was no coin in my hand at that point. But by me using this movement, why would I do that unless subconsciously you thought I was grabbing the coin? Little convincers like that when there's a very specific focus. For myself, my style that I choose to perform with, I do pickpocketing. But I don't do it the way they do it on the streets. They have an advantage in that you don't know it's about to happen to you before it happens. They can be more opportunistic. What I'm going to attempt to do right now, if you don't mind, I'm going to use one of you. I'm going to try to pickpocket you with you watching for it and trying to catch it. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to do a moment of shopping for a second. Yes, I like that pen. That's a good choice. Actually, you have so many things in your pockets, and you have your recorder handy, so you don't have to be here taking notes. Can I ask you to take your notebook down, and what's your name? George. Would you please welcome George? George, come on. Now, George, me saying that I'm a pickpocket here, obviously it seems like a bit of a challenge, but I'm going to do it a little bit different way. I'm going to give you something of mine, then I'm going to try to take it away from you. That way it's less violating, it doesn't violate my parole either. Just a little bit. Just breathe in just a little bit. Right now, what I'm just doing is fanning you, is what they call it on the street. I just was checking to see what he had in his pockets, and also where his wallet was in the back left pocket. So we got a lot of intel on you at this point. I'd like to give you this, though. It's something of mine. Coin I was using a second ago. Close it in your hand, squeeze it tight. Would you be surprised if I could take it out of your hand? That's good, open your hand. Thank you very much. That's a bit obvious. Semantics, really. Let's try that again. Use your hand, grab it, squeeze firm, squeeze tight, but don't watch the wrong hand. That we covered earlier. But right now the frame is too close to you, so your peripheral can't quite pick up on the coin right now. Do you see it? Keep your hand there, but while you're focusing on your hand, you can't see that it's sitting on your shoulder. Look on your shoulder. Can you get that for me? Let's try that again, but we'll do it a bit differently. If you would, hold up your hand just a little bit higher. Thank you. It is, but hold your hand high so I can't quite get it. If I did it slow, you would see that it goes away, but it's back on his shoulder. Did you see it? We'll keep doing this until you catch it, okay? Very slow. No, I'll do it very slow. Squeeze it very tight. You have it in your hand? Okay. But don't pull my finger. That's a different trick. I've seen that. Use your other hand. Make it this, then squeeze. Just hold it up here. Open this hand. Push it in between your hands on the count of 3. You're just realizing that, aren't you? Now, your wallet is in the back left pocket, correct? Good. What? Move it slow. 1, 2, 3. It's back on the shoulder. Is it? Oh, it's not in here, is it? That would have been amazing. No, it's here. See? It appears in the air. It's called down here. It's right back in the hand. Do you see it, Carol? Took a while to rig that up, actually. Send it back up. We'll do that again just for the amazing lack of response. I realize we have skeptics, so I'll do it backwards. Thank you. We've been here, we were perhaps close by, and had so many things I wasn't quite sure where to begin. This wasn't something of yours that was, hold on. Usually that's in my pocket, but that's not what I was looking for. You really didn't have them. Great, you're going to hurt yourself. Inside your pocket, you had a pen a while ago, but you had so many things it was really confusing to me. That's not what I was looking for. What did you have in that pocket? Anything? There was like a napkin or tissue in this pocket? Oh my gosh. To be honest, I'm not sure that I've actually pickpocketed a scientist before. So I know how to do indexing as I go through somebody's pockets. It's like trying to figure out, what is this, a receipt? It's only a tip. I'm not quite sure this pen, I believe, was yours, sir. Another receipt on the other side. This is your gratuity money, I believe. Thank you very much. If you're still recording this, I think we have evidence. There's the other dollar. It doesn't stop, does it? And since you entertained all of us, we got together and we chipped in to get you this special watch. It looks just like the one you were wearing. Because he still has my coin in his pocket, but I don't forget. So, in what I was just showing you, that was an example of pickpocketing, but I was using a lot of things underneath that I was trying to understand for a long time. I performed for about 5 years in a venue here in town at Caesar Palace. There was a show called The Magical Empire. It was similar to an adult Disneyland in that it was kind of like a theme park. It had a turnstile where 24 people would come in at a time and be issued into small chambers to be entertained. I was their initiation to the show, and they had me do a 10-minute pickpocket act, where I would pickpocket 3 people. So I'd bring one gentleman, I'd meet 2 people, I'd steal their things, they wouldn't know. I'd bring one gentleman up, he would know, I'd steal from him, everybody would laugh, and then at the end I said, what are you laughing at? And give back everything I stole from them. I did this isolated piece every 10 minutes, 6 times an hour, 5 hours a night, 5 nights a week, for 4.5 years, so it was quite a long time. So in that, I started to see that there's certain personality types and certain movements that people were more interested in, that they would follow. There were half circles versus short lines, and things that in magic, what we had described as principles of misdirection, that for me seemed to be sometimes more specific. So what I'd like to show you in a couple of those things is, again, if I may use you so I can bring my coin back to me, and I'll show you how that works. Would you guys like to see the behind the scenes of how that happens? Now, George, there's a couple of things when I'm approaching you. Also, I like to, do you still have the coin on you? I'll leave your watch on you this time. Do you know where the coin is on you right now? Okay, yeah, I had to search too. I can hear it in your pocket there. There you go, thank you. Now, if we did it this way, I'll show you, when I'm approaching somebody, I've found that if I approach them straight on, I'll reach their personal space, or what people call their bubble, in a lot of different ways fairly quickly. And you can become very attuned to when you've reached it, when you're inside of it, when you're at it, and when you're outside of it, by that much of a distance. And it's different with different cultures and different people. But for me, I found that if I broke eye contact and came close to the side, I've now closed that gap. So from the side, the gap is much smaller. So if I kept eye contact when I went towards him, he would maintain eye contact for me if I came around to the side. So in order to go underneath that space, I had to break eye contact to get inside of his personal space. It was almost like giving him permission to go inside of his boundaries. Because otherwise, he would keep a fixed gaze on me as I came back around to the side. So in order to make him comfortable, I had to break eye contact, come down to the side, and now he was comfortable. If, later on, now, I'm jumping a little bit, when I talked earlier about attention management, this is where I think magicians are sometimes saying we can control people's attention. I think of it more like water flow control. We can create avenues to channel the water, but we really don't know which way they're going to go, and we can only hope to surf that or monitor that. So for myself, that's what I try to do. I try to create avenues that might work. Earlier, when I was doing this small frame, I was creating an isolated focus. So you had no choice but to watch inside that frame or to watch me personally. And I can very much control your attention. In this type of situation, I have to create variables to avoid confusing him. And that's the hard part for me, because I don't want to completely confuse him, but I want to slice up the pie of his attention. So I do that through conditioning, the misuse of his proximity. So if I'm here and I want to split his attention, I don't want to focus on my hand when I'm doing one of those vanishes you saw earlier, I'll bring my chin up into his personal space. His head will whip up to my face, and he won't focus on that movement. So I'll use those type of things, along with when I was talking to him a while ago, I mentioned about the coin, I put my hand on his shoulder, pat his shoulder. I'm not putting a coin there, but now he's saying, could it be on that shoulder too? But he doesn't want to look at it. So those type of things, I'm getting him these variables, and getting him choices that just, I'm doing that right at the same time that I'm taking this. Or I may say, what's your back pocket button? And he's asking, it was in my back pocket. And as he's thinking that, he's losing something else. So I use those multiple points, kind of, it is, for me, that's, when you're talking about the exchange, that's what excited me, because a lot of my things are through personal study. I try to find resources to study more about this. But these principles here, along with the movement that I find very interesting, I'm trying to understand why it works, but I've noticed that the eye seems to be more attracted to arches than to straight lines. So if I'm taking something out of his pocket, or I'll show you with the coin here, in this motion, George. If I'm using this, and I vanish his coin, the attention will snap back almost like a rubber band to the other hand. My theory is that it's kind of like an animation where you have 2 points, A and B. So there's only 2 points of interest to go. But if I do this, I have more time because it's formed an arch. So it's like there's A, B, C, multiple points. It's almost like if somebody were to hit baseball and you watch a line drive, you're going to assume where it's going to go. You're not interested in all those points of information. But if it's a line drive and it starts bouncing up and down, we'll follow it like a cat does a string. So those, I've learned through motions like that, if I want to take something out of his pocket, if I'm here, and I bring this as a motion out of his pocket, if I go here, he's going to split his attention between this coin and his pocket. But if I go here and bring this in an arch, he'll follow it like he's hypnotized. And I can still out of his pocket at the same time. So those arches work almost kind of in the concert of a circular flow. So that's something I've noticed. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. As some of you may notice, I don't have any notes, so I was ad-libbing most of what I said. And if you guys have any questions there, I'd love to answer them.